Hello, everyone, and welcome back to SSRG and Your View. Today, we decided that it would be important to talk about something that most people would know about, but it's something that's the prevalence is growing, and it's called black tax. When I say tax, I mean TAX. Tax is like when you pay money back to the government. But in black tax, the term originated from South Africa when young professionals from South Africa gain economic independence and they suddenly become the financial provider for their extended family members and their community. And in recent times, it has gotten to the extent where young Black people from different parts of Africa assume the same responsibility, whether they are within Africa or outside Africa. So a lot of people in diaspora, when they start making money, it is their responsibility to send money back home to family and friends and community members. And we know that this can be good because we are a collectivist culture, and that is why we speak of Ubuntu, which simply translates to I am because you are. So we care about family members, but it can also have its negative consequences. So today we are going to be talking about black tax. So I'm going to start by asking the first question. Why is black tax
Nigeria.
important? Why do
Okay, so thank you for that. And to our viewers, thank you for always watching our videos. I think it's because of what you already mentioned, because Africa is a very collectivist continent. So we grow up with that culture. Once you are born, you start being so you they begin to socialize you in that line that when your parents and your elderly siblings and even other people, you know that saying that's it takes a community to raise a child
and
in
when the child
Africa.
grows, he raises the community.
So, yeah, so when you grow up and you start to make money, it is expected that you give back to your family, at least starting from your family, what they have given to you. So that is just it. And we internalize it. When you grow up, you internalize that responsibility that you have to do that. You can't even avoid it because I've come to understand that even if you try to avoid it, you begin to feel disappointed at yourself that you are not able to do this, whereas that should not be the case. So I feel it's just a cultural thing. That is why.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
also agree that it's a cultural thing and like the Ubuntu and also like an idea about sometimes generativity where you have been helped. How do you help the younger ones that are coming after you? So if you have your siblings, your younger siblings or younger people in the community, how do you extend the opportunity that have been given to you to other people that are coming up? So it's a real expectation and it's like you said, rooted in Ubuntu and communalistic way of being. But to the extent that it doesn't have disadvantages is something I also hope that we'll talk about later because I think it does have some harm in the long run.
Okay, so
Yeah.
before we talk about the harm, why is it important that we continue providing this black tax? Why is it important that we continue, like once you receive economic freedom or economic independence or you start making money, why is it important that you pay back to the community?
Well, for one, I would say it's important because if you have a community where several people are doing well, or a family where several people are doing well, it's easy to bring things together. In Igbo adage, we say, "Akanni kwa akekpe, akekpe kwa akanni." So it's
The right
more.
hand washes the left hand washes the right hand.
Yeah. So if people have those resources, they can pull their resources together into one bucket and everybody's happy. But if it's just one person who has, then it becomes a problem and there's family dysfunction or community dysfunction. So I think why it's important to help other people is so that you can raise other people who would then, pull their resources together.
So like Davido will rise by
Yeah.
lifting others.
Exactly.
I also feel it's still important because, in as much as I know, I acknowledge that sometimes it leaves some financial pressure, financial burden on the person sending the money or the taxation or whatever. It's also good because in some situations, when you migrate, no matter the situation you find yourself in your destination country, you are still at least 1% financially better off than someone who is stuck in an economy where they cannot help the situation. Okay. I know that this is not true in all cases because there are a lot of people back home who have,
I was going to say if
yeah,
it's
of
true.
course, I
I
There
think
are
know,
some
we I
people,
I
think
there
we
are
know.
will
some
get to
people back
that.
home. There are some people
Yeah,
back home
yeah,
that are doing way better.
I think we'll
yeah,
get to that.
Mhm.
but we have to also recognize that this is very individualistic, right?
Yeah.
Because it completely depends on your own situation as a migrant. You know the financial situation of your family, your parents, and your
Mhm.
siblings. So
Mhm.
this is why it is important. Personally, there is no reason why if I can help my brother or my sister with some money, knowing fully well that they don't have, I will hold back and not give it.
Mhm.
So I think that it's also important to help naturally.
I do
Mhm.
agree with that. I remember like sometimes when I'm having conversation with my friends here, like some of them are Chinese, some of them are Canadians, and I talk about having to send money back home to friends, family members, even some people from the village who I don't know. They just get my number and they call me from nowhere and say, "Oh, my wife is in the hospital. Oh, this is happening and that is happening." And
Mhm.
I have to send money back home. They're like, why do you have to do that? They are confused as to why we have to do
Yeah.
that. But I
Mhm.
think that if you have lived in a place like Nigeria and you have seen people suffering firsthand, if you have seen their experience of poverty firsthand, you are
Or you have suffered yourself.
or you have suffered yourself, right? Right. So you know that the the situation is powerless. Like
Mhm.
it's not because they are not
Yeah,
working hard. It's not that they are not doing enough. So, but they need
exactly.
that extra push, extra support, and you have to, keep doing that. But that being said, there is a recent research that was talking about how black tax in the US, for an example, makes it difficult for racialized people and black people to build wealth. It makes
Mhm.
it challenging
Yeah,
for them to, consolidate their wealth and grow it because they are too busy catering for their community and their friends and their family that it's difficult for
yeah.
them to have money to invest, to have money to save, and to do other things. So, thinking about the Nigerian context, how might black tax be a challenge for young people in Nigeria?
I think that's the aspect that TC was gradually coming in from when he was talking. And it's very obvious. It's so obvious that paying that black tax can render you poor for a very long time. So sometimes you realize that the people you are trying to assist might along the line get better off than you. But the thing
Mhm.
is that each time you have a conversation with them, especially for some that are not so considerate, they continue to complain of how they are suffering, how they are going through a lot of things. And sometimes it's kind of becoming a sort of emotional blackmail. But
Mhm.
people don't even realize that they are doing this.
I
So
like that.
that
I like
respect,
that point of emotional blackmail because I see on social media
yeah,
where somebody said, "I asked somebody in the UK for money and they sent me 50,000 naira. What am I going to do with 50,000?" Without realizing that that person
exactly,
might be working 4 shifts to earn a
Like
living and pay
exactly,
bills and pay rent before sending you that 50,000.
exactly.
exactly.
People just
Yeah, no, no problem.
you come to wherever in the abroad and you begin to pluck money from the tree, or there's someone money is just laying. So you might go on, please.
Exactly. Yeah. So they do that because a lot of people back home, they help you to calculate your income based on the exchange rate. But the reason why the person you send 50K to is complaining is because they already calculated is 50K, not 20 pounds. Even if you are broke in the UK, how can't you afford 20 pounds to send to me?
But they
But the
don't know how
person does not.
difficult it is getting
Yeah,
20K.
but the person does not understand that even if you earn 5,000 pounds in a month, you are not spending in Nigeria, you are spending in the UK.
Where the cost of living
So,
is different.
yeah, exactly. So it is possible that that guy making 3K pounds per month after spending everything, they are struggling to save up 100 pounds after the whole bill. But people will not understand until they get a visa someday and migrate to some of these countries. So
Mhm.
it's a big problem because you see, that is why you see some people living abroad for a very long time, but they are not able to achieve any substantial thing. But by the time you go to their ads to calculate the small, small money they are sending home every week, that person would have done something very meaningful in the UK with that money when it accumulates. But they are not able to do that. right? So that research is very important, and we even need to share it. Yeah.
The other thing is that sometimes I feel like some people back home would have been able to find solution to challenges they are facing. But because they think that you are doing well abroad, they just push every problem to you. They call you whenever there is the smallest problem. I had one friend who was saying that if somebody called him from Nigeria to send money, he would say, "Okay, give me some time," and he will wait for a long time. When the person
If the person doesn't
asks them
call
about the
back,
thing again, they will be like,
it's
"So
not
you haven't been
important.
able to solve it?" Because he believes that if he doesn't give that person would still be able to solve that problem.
Yeah.
I know someone who uses that same tactics. And if the person doesn't call back, then you know they eventually figured it out or it wasn't important. And also there's the human psychology. I feel like when you respond immediately to people's every now and then issues, then they feel like that's a pattern. Anytime they have the smallest issue, they can reach out to you immediately without even making attempts on their own. But I feel like the other impact that I think this black tax can have, especially when it comes to you in the diaspora, realizing that, oh, I can't keep up with this black tax anymore. I think it's also
Yeah.
serious relationship with people. Like you begin to have issues with family members who now call you wicked uncles or wicked whatever, that you are not helping them or you're not contributing to their well-being and stuff like that. So that's another
So
I
impact.
it's
like I think I like the aspect that it severs your relationship with people, because the less people you have in your life, the more peaceful your life is. So yeah, so
I do not agree with that.
Oh my
no,
goodness.
I agree with that, because if somebody asks me for money and I'm not able to assist them and they begin to avoid me, then that person should not be in my life in the
But there's
first
also
place.
What I'm trying to say is that my relationship with people should not be bound on how much support I can give them or they can give to me. If you cut off our relationship because I didn't give you money, that's your problem. But I am saying that we
Yeah,
should be
exactly.
educated enough to know that I don't have money all the time to give you. And if you ask me for money and I can't give you at a particular time, you should be able to understand that situation is not always rosy. It shouldn't be a reason for us to have a severed relationship.
another thing that I think I've highlighted before in a previous video is if someone in the diaspora, and this is for people in back home or even people in the diaspora, if someone sends you something, please learn to keep your mouth shut. I don't mean it in a very disrespectful way, but in a very like honest way. Because the moment you go talking and telling this other person, then the pressure mounts up. This other person is coming to demand. And then when you say, oh, honestly, I don't have, they remind you that, oh, you sent to that person. So why are you not sending to me? So I feel like people should have that level of responsibility, knowing that, or whatever English it is, knowing that when someone sends you something, it's from the magnanimity of their heart, and you should not go about unless they specifically say, okay, go and tell everybody in the world.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
other thing I was thinking about is the concept of shame.
Mm.
Because there are like the narrative about black tax in recent time has created a culture of shame whereby young people who are not sending money back to their friends and family are kind of shamed, and it pushes a lot of young people to try to make it by every means necessary. They are under so much pressure when they travel that you would see, like living here in Canada, I know some Nigerians that they will land today from the airport. You are driving them to where they are going to stay. They are already asking you of where they are going to find job because they are trying to avoid that shame of not sending money
Yeah.
back home, because sending money back home has kind of become a proof that you've made it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. So the other thing
Exactly.
one more thing I would want us to talk about before we end is, do you think that there are people back home who, irrespective of all the complaining that they do to gain money, are better off than people abroad? Like I know that happiness wise, there are a lot of people. Like if I was in Nigeria, I would be probably happier than I am here. Like happiness wise, but I'm not saying that I'm going to go back to suffer before people come to the comment section and
And ask you
ask me what am I
why
doing
are you
there?
staying in
Why
Yeah,
Canada?
don't
let me just tell you, let me just share an experience that will exemplify that. I have a friend in Nigeria that I've been talking with all the time, and they keep on complaining. Like anytime we talk, it's always about how difficult things are. Then one day I saw on someone else's WhatsApp status that this same guy I talk with all the time killed someone with his car. So the greatest shocker for me was not that someone died. Of course, it was sad. But I first of all kept that aside to think of how did this guy even buy a car, let alone killing someone with a car? Because I know the kind of conversations we talk about all the time. So
And
I was
get car
thinking
for
about,
Germany. Oh.
eh,
Bro,
what are you talking about? I don't even have a tire to a
you don't
car.
have a license to
You
even
don't
drive.
even get bicycle, now bus you they use.
Exactly. So the thing is that that's the aspect that emotional blackmail I earlier mentioned comes
Mm,
in.
mm,
Sometimes people see it as once you leave Nigeria, they always tell you about how they are suffering, how they are going through a lot. But the truth is that a lot of people in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa are richer than people living abroad. But when
mhm,
you tell people this kind of thing, they feel you are telling them because you don't want to send them money, but it is not true. A
mm.
lot of people are much more financially buoyant. They are happier in Nigeria. They have everything they need in Nigeria. They go on vacation abroad and come back. But of course, I will also acknowledge that there are some people that are not like that. There are
Mhm.
Yeah,
many people too in Nigeria that when you call them, they don't even talk about the financial situation, or they don't come to ask you for money, or even if they ask you, but you are not able to give them, they are very understanding. But
right.
it's very individualistic because if you come from a family that is inconsiderate, or you have a circle of friends who are inconsiderate, that's where the pressure is so high on you. Yeah.
Mm,
Thank you so much for sharing that story. We have run out of time, but in conclusion, I think the point we are trying to make is that we still cherish that collective culture and we still cherish that idea of lifting others because we want to grow together. We want to come out of poverty together. However, that drive to help others, to help people in your community, shouldn't become a burden that will burn you out. It shouldn't become a source of stress. It shouldn't become a source of stigma to you. Rather, it should be something that you do with the intention that you are okay now and you have to help others to become okay. Thank you so much for watching and remember to like and subscribe because TC cries when you don't like and subscribe.
I
Bye.
do.
And please don't pressure migrants. Don't
Eh,
suffocate them.
don't
Let migrants breathe.
pressurize me. Don't pressurize me.